Hi guys, today I am going to be doing a video that is hopefully not redundant. I'm going to be talking through my tips and tools for taking Instagram photos at home. If you clicked on this video, then you're like me. While it may seem stupid to some people, taking photos, being creative, showing off your personal style are all things that can help your mental health, just getting those creative juices flowing, gives you some kind of purpose in your otherwise purposeless existence, just floating along every single day, having no idea what time it is, what day it is, what month it is. I watched a lot of these videos during quarantine. A lot of times they were just very redundant and some of their tips were just completely not applicable to me. Brief little intro. Hi, my name is Samantha. If you're new here, please subscribe. I would love to have you. I have been like an Instagram fashion blogger since I was 20. I'm 27 now. I started taking like fashion blogging more seriously when I was about 20. It took me a really long time to kind of find my niche and find what photos showed my personal style the best. After many years of trial and error, I found that like nightlife photography was really the best for me. I definitely dress like a wannabe pop star. I love using flash. Being out during the night with friends in a social environment just captures my personality the best. And I definitely relied on that super heavily during 2018 and 2019. The pandemic hits and then I'm stuck home alone with no friends, nowhere to go, no serotonin. I definitely didn't post for like 3 or 4 months in 2020, and that definitely was a huge detriment. The algorithm basically said, bye, we don't care about you anymore, and now I don't show up in like anyone's feed anymore. My engagement is very low. So please, if you're watching this video, go follow me on Instagram, please. So I started looking for advice, looking up other YouTubers that maybe had tips. While they made some interesting points, a lot of them focused on taking photos using natural light, which is simply not an option for me. I live in a studio apartment on the Upper West Side of New York City. Both of my windows look at other buildings. I am lucky if I get a half hour of sunlight every day. Taking photos in front of a window is literally never an option for me. The other thing that a lot of these videos seem to focus on is staging and having a lot of room to do stuff. If you followed my channel, even just look in the background of this video, I really don't have a lot of room, and I in fact don't have one single plain white wall in this entire apartment. While my apartment is very well organized and curated, it's still like a lot of stuff, and when you're trying to take photos that are meant to draw attention to either your makeup or your hair or your style, just you in general, having things in the background can just be really distracting, and it also makes for a very messy feed. I have these odds working against me, and I'm watching so many of these videos thinking this just doesn't apply to me, this doesn't alleviate my situation at all. I found a couple of workarounds for those and I wanted to share them with you guys. That's why I was motivated to make this video. If you, like me, are very alone, have basically no space and absolutely no sunlight, all you need is a little bit of motivation and some of these tools that I'm about to share with you, and I promise you will get some really cool Instagram photos out of it. I made a little list. Let's just get right into it. I personally take all of my photos on my phone. I have the iPhone 11 Pro Max. We'll get into this a little bit later. There are a few features on this phone that are extremely helpful, but they're features that when I share them with my friends, they don't even know about. We'll get into that a little bit later, but obviously any phone is fine. I'm currently using my Canon G7X Mark II to film this video. I don't ever use my Canon camera to take photos for my Instagram. I take photos through the viewfinder, which I will show you a little bit later, but I really don't think a camera is necessary. Let's just get this out of the way because every video that I've watched on YouTube talks about this, but it is very important. And it is a Bluetooth remote that you can get on Amazon, very inexpensive. This was $8.99. You may already know this, but in case you don't, it pairs with your phone. This eliminates the need to use self-timer, which I have used, but it can be annoying if you are farther away from your phone and you have to keep running over to it, resetting the timer, running back into position. That can just be a pain in the ass, and I feel like it kind of takes you out of like the moment of having your little photo shoot. This clicker is game changing. When you click it, it takes the photo immediately. You can set your phone up, be posed in your little position, and just click, 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 click. It's just game changing. It's really easy to hide. If you're wearing like long sleeves, it's really easy to just slip in your sleeve. There's been a couple of times where I've had my arms down. I literally have the clicker under my palm and I'm I'm just like pushing it slightly. You just use a watch battery to replace the battery in the back, but otherwise no cord needed. Highly recommend. Let's get into the tripod thing. I have talked about this in my Amazon favorites video before. This is a very tiny iPhone, I don't think it's a tripod, I guess you would say iPhone stand. I primarily bought this for having like FaceTime sessions during quarantine when everyone was just FaceTiming for like 2 or 3 hours a day when we didn't know what to do with ourselves. But this also makes for a really great tripod. Enjoy my Harry Styles phone background. You can either have it this way or this way, and you can adjust it so that it has different angles. This could be helpful if you are posed in front of like a bookcase or a table or a kitchen counter or something. You can have your phone there. You can be a little bit farther away and use your Bluetooth clicker. Now let's get into the actual iPhone tripod. I have a couple, and one of the things that I feel like I have to mention is even though I do have the kind of scenery and setting working against me, the thing that I do have working in my favor is that I have been a YouTuber since I was 16 years old. Like I said, I started my fashion blog when I was 20. I have accumulated so many different random tools and gadgets and tech stuff over the years. I'm gonna show you kind of a range of different things. Some stuff is cheaper, some stuff is more expensive, but again, just know I have been doing this, like working online for a decade, so I've definitely accumulated it very slowly. So this is my most recent tripod purchase. This is actually my third ring light also, but it is the cheapest. This is from Amazon. It's a tripod, it folds out. It gets very tall. I'm 5'6" for reference. Even when I wear my big old chunky shoes, I can still have the ring light at my eye level. You put your phone right here in the middle. It plugs in via USB. So sometimes I honestly put this into my laptop just because I don't have a outlet nearby, but you can also use like an iPhone charger thing to put it into the wall. Then it has 3 different light settings: cool, warm, neutral, and it also has a dimming feature. We'll get more into lighting in a moment, but I just want to talk about the actual tripod aspect of this. It came with a Bluetooth clicker. I was using that for a really long time. I kind of started to notice at some point it would lag and I would be pressing the button and it just wasn't doing anything, or I would think that I was taking pictures and it was actually taking video. It was just not working out for me. This standalone one, it's definitely been a lot better. Do I use that ring light tripod thing a lot? Honestly, no, because I do have better lighting and better equipment that we'll get to in a moment. But if you're in a pinch and you need a tripod, a ring light, and a clicker, there you go. One purchase, you get all of those things. So since we started to talk about lighting, I guess let's just continue to go into the lighting. As I already mentioned, I don't get any natural sunlight whatsoever in my apartment. Like I said though, my Instagram before quarantine was pretty heavily focused on like nightlife, fashion, and photography. It was very easy for me to start to replicate that same style in my apartment by doing goofy things like turning all the lights off, using a lot of flash, but it is possible. I will say maybe this might be something different for you if you're used to taking photos outside. It might help you kind of switch up your look, try something new. It might be fun. I think I've done a pretty good job though at bringing light into my apartment. The first thing, which I will be sure to show you guys, I'm gonna insert some other footage, is I got these insane strip lights that go around my large IKEA standing mirror from Amazon. I believe they're about $20. They are insanely bright. That is all I use right now when I'm filming this video. I don't even know if you can tell, but the overhead lights in my apartment are off. And this little flimsy, cheap light strip that goes all the way around my mirror is the only thing lighting me up right now. But I love it. It makes me feel very glam. I know that the colored lights are very popular as well. We'll get to those in a second. But if just having more actual light is a problem for you, these little strip lights are such a great solution. Like the colored neon lights, you just stick them right on. They peel off really easily. They don't damage anything. You can stick them on something else. You can cut them to any length that you need. Highly, highly recommend. As for colored lighting, I actually have a few different sources of neon light in my apartment. I have 2 pink neon signs that I was gifted from Urban Outfitters years ago, which I actually started to get really creative with during quarantine and used to take some of the colored photos that you may have seen on my feed. I will obviously be sure to insert them here. Actually, my best friend who bought me that light asked me when I posted that photo how I took it, and I told her I literally put the light this close to my face and took the photo, and she thought that was so funny. But you just have to be creative. And I also have the same strip light as the vanity lighting, but the colored version that I have behind my mirror. If you turn off all of the lights in your home, in your apartment, or center your room. That is how you can get that effect on the photo where it looks like it's all blue, it's all purple, it's all pink. I really like that. It's a way for me to kind of simulate that nightlife club photography in a way. And I think it just makes for a really interesting pop of color in your feed, especially if you have like a certain color in your aesthetic that you kind of tend to always go back to. Like if you incorporate a lot of greens or a lot of reds, throwing in a neon photo using that lighting can be really cool. I also found by doing that with the lighting, it basically washes the entire background, obviously, so the whole photo is just bathed in that one light, and it allows me to still have some focus on my outfit, but it kind of helps to wash out whatever else is going on in the background. For example, in this blue photo that I posted, which I really like, but when you use the neon lighting, it just washes out all of those unwanted colors in the photo. I think it helps to kind of neutralize if you have a messier background. As long as it's organized, then I think it can help. Those, again, very inexpensive. You can stick them anywhere. I will leave those linked down below as well. Now, again, this is applicable to me because, like I said, I like that really stark contrast between a darker background and having the flash on me. And normally when I would take photos like in a club or at a bar or whatever, I would always obviously have my friends take the photo using flash. I have noticed that even when I use either the vanity lighting or the ring light, I still like to use the flash on my phone. Again, this is probably more particular to my style because I like that like 90s photography kind of look, and it helps to wash out my skin. I don't have the best skin, so the more light that is on me, the better. And I'm pale, so it just kind of works for me. I definitely recommend trying flash on some of your photos, even if you think you have really good lighting. Sometimes it just looks better. And I think that's another thing in terms of lighting that I found. I'll just do something slight to the lighting. I'll either add the flash, add another light, or take a light away. That ends up making the photo that much better. Now I want to show you this feature in the iPhone 11. I don't know what other phones it's on, but I'm assuming if you have an 11 or 12, it'll be on there. When you go to take a photo, hello, there you are. Down here, you'll have a few different options. I'll try to take a screen recording of this. What I always do is I swipe up on the exposure. I increase the exposure, either 1 or 2 notches. It keeps your photo at that exposure for the entirety of your photo session until you go back and change it. Let me tell you the difference that that makes. It literally gives you that like 90s photography look, blows out your skin perfectly. And also if you're someone who likes softer looking photos, that is gonna be a feature that you're definitely gonna wanna use. Another quick thing while we're in this area, has nothing to do with lighting. I also changed the ratio to 16:9, which if you guys don't know is the ratio for when you're posting a photo to your Instagram stories, because a lot of times I'll take photos that to me are designated to be in my feed, but then I'll also take photos that I know I'm gonna wanna throw up on my story. I kind of just like to feature whatever look I'm doing in both places. Taking the photo in 16:9 is just really helpful because then you can see exactly what is gonna be in frame when you post it to your Instagram stories. That's just a little side note. I've shown that to so many of my friends, like when we're taking flat lays of food or something like that that we know is gonna go on story, and they're like, wait, I didn't know you could do that. I saved the most expensive lighting things for last, but I do feel like it's worth mentioning because I do really love them, and if you are in the market to maybe spend a little bit more money, they can be really helpful. I have technically 4 studio lights. 2 of them are the large umbrella lights that actually my friend Ethan is borrowing, so I don't have them to show you. I also have these smaller, sleeker studio lights. I am so unbelievably happy with. They are very sleek. They fold up very nicely. They're just as powerful, in my opinion, as the large umbrella studio lights. And if I remember correctly, I was able to get them for around either $90 or $120. Here is one of them. I will be sure to insert some B-roll footage so you guys can see a little bit more clearly. I love the way that these fold up. So they open like this. You can adjust them from a very yellow light all the way to a very blue light. You can adjust them from dim to extremely bright. It has a very sturdy tripod, and I've also used this tripod for my ring light sometimes. So it's like kind of just a nice universal tripod to have if you need one. It adjusts to be pretty tall. I have it at the smallest height that it can be right now. But again, just look at this, how easily this folds. And you can adjust it like this, so you can have it pointing at the ceiling. ceiling, pointing down. It comes in a pack of 2. They are absolutely amazing. I will leave them linked down below. If you're gonna spend a little bit of extra money, I highly recommend. I know it seems a little extreme for just Instagram photos. Like I said, I'm a YouTuber, obviously, so I use them all the time for anything anyway. Next category I wanna get into is setting the scene and scenery. If you are blessed to live in a large apartment or a house and you have space in a basement, a backyard, on a roof deck, like I am sure that finding nice scenery isn't an issue for you. This is really directed mostly at people who, like me, just don't have any blank wall space, don't really have a lot of area to move around. Let me share my solutions with you. Back in maybe June, I had my dad ship me from our house in Chicago my backdrop and my stands. I had those at my Chicago house from a brand deal that I did with a hotel a couple years ago where we needed to bring some of our own equipment to shoot in the hotel. So I purchased it for like another work project. It isn't that expensive though, this particular set that I got, so I'll leave it linked down below. The stands themselves are great. It's basically 2 tripods. They go very high. Then there's a bar across the top. It's adjustable. It stretches to be pretty big, and if you're just one person, obviously you don't need it to be that big. If you're sitting down, it's even easier. Sometimes when I do little shoots where I'm sitting down, I don't even need to raise it that high, but it's nice to have the option. It comes with 4 of these clamps so that you can clamp the fabric onto the stands themselves so that it doesn't move around. Let's get into the material because I have some things to say. I keep my backdrop stands in these pouches. They are from the Container Store. I will leave them linked down below. They're like $2 or $3 each, and they're great because they're vinyl, so they're waterproof and it just keeps them clean. They're very easy to organize. I have all of mine in like a basket like this. This is the material that was advertised as a backdrop for photography. It's a white material. I'm not quite sure exactly what it's made out of, but it has a little bit of a sheen to it, and I guess it's intended for photography. This was like $30 or $40. The size is great. It's just a huge oversized piece of fabric. It has like a tunnel at the top that you can stick the backdrop pole through, but I usually am too lazy to do that and I just end up clamping it on. Let's be honest, you could just use like a bed sheet. This is more opaque. It feels a little bit more professional, but it's not necessary. You could definitely use a bed sheet. You could use any thrifted fabric. I wish that I lived by a Joann's fabric in New York because I would totally love to just go and find a bunch of really cool fabrics to shoot with. However, that's not an option for me. And earlier in this year, when I couldn't even go to the fashion district and I couldn't even go look at fabrics, I did some hunting on Amazon and I found 2 options that I need to explain. So first, I got this idea from Nikki DeMar. If you guys know her on YouTube, I'm sure you do. She talked about these gauzy kind of fabrics that she had, and they looked so beautiful in the photos, and she got a couple of different ones and like layered them together. They come in all different colors. They were relatively inexpensive. I want to say like $19.99, and you get a lot of fabric. Like it's enough to hang a huge backdrop and maybe have some on the floor. So I ordered this deep blue color, and I will insert the photo here. I used it on Halloween. I dressed up like a cat, sort of. I don't even really know what I was doing. I was just having fun. I layered this over the backdrop fabric that I have. I discovered something the hard way, that I'm pretty sure this produces color transfer, and I'm pretty sure that some of it like transferred onto my backdrop and also onto my $200 duvet cover from Parachute, which was really not cool. I would just be really wary with these gauzy fabrics. As you can see, like they're very pigmented and beautiful, and I wish that I'd gotten like a light blue as well and I could have layered them together, or maybe like a lavender and a darker purple would have looked cool, something like that. They have so many different colors. I'll still link them down below. I just want to let you guys know, be careful where you're hanging these and also what you're wearing when you pose on them. I would hate for you to ruin any of your stuff or any of your clothes. If it's on a hardwood floor and if you're not actually touching the fabric, then I'm sure it's fine, and it is like an inexpensive option and it looks pretty cool. So please learn from my mistakes. This other fabric that I have though is my favorite, and this was quite a hack. I'm very proud of myself. So I was looking for like a satin fabric. Again, I couldn't go to a fabric store. I was just looking online, and I was really discouraged by how expensive these oversized satin fabrics were, like almost $30 or $40, until I discovered that if you look on Amazon for satin tablecloths, like very oversized tablecloths that I guess they use for weddings, this was like $8.99. It is a beautiful satin fabric. I got this in like an ivory cream kind of color, and I have used it so much. I used it to take this picture. I used it to take this picture. The satin really catches the light so nicely. It looks a lot softer and more like fashion-y, I guess, than just having a plain photo backdrop behind you. It's literally the same dimensions as a photo backdrop, but it's a tablecloth. But like, I'm not gonna use it on a table. I use it on my backdrop stands. I'm going to try and find the exact same backdrop stands and clamps that I purchased and link those down below. If I can find a separate pack of just the clamps, I will also link that, because if you don't have the stands, but you can at least get your hands on some of this great fabric and some clamps, you can probably clamp this to anything. Or honestly, you could probably use duct tape and like tape it to a wall or tape it to the door. Also, sometimes I have set up my backdrop stands behind my bed, posed on my bed, and put some of the fabric on my bed. That kind of brings me to my next part of this scenery category, which is really get creative. Basically what I do, and if you've seen some of my vlogs, I have shown this, especially over the summer, I push my furniture all over the place. I have hardwood floors, so it's pretty easy to do that. A lot of times, because this lighting on my mirror is so good, I will push this furniture back, set up the backdrop, and sit in front of the mirror. But other times I will move this furniture over here, I'll move my bed over there. Like, I really do move things around. It takes a lot of time, but it's okay, I don't really mind. But another thing that I wanted to mention is use of mirrors. I have had so many people come to my apartment and be shocked at how large it seems. I get it doesn't look that large right now on camera, but it's a lot larger in person than it seems, and that's because a lot of times I take photos in mirrors and I move the furniture to prop up the mirrors, so it makes it look like it's smaller than it is. I have so many mirrors that I play around with because I really do like taking outfit photos in this huge mirror here that obviously has the great lighting, but as you can see, there's a lot behind me and it can be very distracting if I just want the focus to be on my outfit, on myself, and like I said, it's distracting in feed. If I don't set up my entire backdrop behind me so that it blocks everything out, another thing that I do is I take some of the smaller mirrors that I have, move them around in my apartment. I'll set up my ring light and my studio lights behind that mirror so that it has this type of lighting, or like I said, I'll use the neon and just wash everything out so it's one color, and that way I can take photos in different areas of my apartment. I have this smaller mirror that is from Amazon. I think it's originally sold as a tray. That's how it's shown on the listing on Amazon, but it also has a hook so you can hang it up if you want. I don't really use it as a mirror. I really only use it as a prop for photos, and I use it to take this photo series, which I got so many compliments on. It was literally just using this little Amazon mirror sitting on my bed with studio lights on the other side of it, and it turned out really cool. That one is super inexpensive. It's made to look like a vintage mirror, but it's actually like more of a plasticky kind of material, but it's completely fine just for like photo purposes. It would be great to have if you want to bring it outside with you, bring it to your roof, I don't know, bring it in the bathroom, do whatever and get super creative with it. I also have this other mirror that is from Target years ago, but I'll see if they still have it or if there's something similar. I just have it leaning on the floor in my hallway, but it's a really great quality mirror. It's like very sturdy, beautiful. I basically move furniture like this little couch. I'll pull it closer to my bed. I'll put the mirror either on the couch or on the floor leaning against the couch, and I'll pose on my bed, and that's how I took this photo here. I've also propped it up to take this photo here. That's another option, and it just provides like different interest to your photo, especially if you can get the edges of the mirror in. I think that's a really cool look. Now, my most recent addition I'm so unbelievably excited about. It is obviously also from Amazon, and it is this vanity mirror. I am obsessed with it. I put it on my desk recently. I took these photos here with it. I think they came out so cool. I felt so glam, so Hollywood. I just find that, first of all, having a lot of mirrors in a smaller space helps to open it up anyway, even when you're not taking photos, just living your life. It's a design tip that interior designers always talk about. When it comes time to taking photos, it's just nice to have different options, and it's nice to have different points of interest, especially when you're looking at your feed on Instagram. No hate to people that do this, but sometimes I find it to be really just redundant and uninspiring when you go to someone's page. Obviously, we have a lot of mirror photos lately because we're all in quarantine. If it's just the same mirror on the same wall with the same background over and over and over and over again, I think it can look just a little boring. So I really like that I'm able to switch up the mirrors, the angle, where I'm sitting, things like that. So I will have all of those linked down below. I recommend all of them. I think they're all great. The large mirror, if I didn't mention, is from IKEA. It is the best full-length mirror ever. It looks exactly like the ones from CB2 that are like 3 times the price. Highly recommend. Now, one more thing that I wanted to mention about scenery is creating the mirror selfie effect without a mirror. What I mean by that is, I one day was filming a video and had my camera on the tripod, and I was also setting up the backdrop to take photos afterwards, and I just really liked how I looked in the viewfinder of my camera. So I started going like this and like taking some cool pictures, and I ended up taking this picture, which I think is so cool and looks super cute and is just another way to get that mirror selfie look. You're taking it obviously on your viewfinder. Some people do this in the rear view mirrors of their car. I did when I was in Chicago, for example. And the other option is photo booth. One of my friends asked me about this recently. Yes, I did sit and pose with photo booth on my MacBook Pro, took this photo, but then I did some things to it afterwards before I actually posted it to my feed. I took it in photo booth, and obviously I took like 40 of them. I deleted all of the ones that I didn't like so that only the ones I liked were showing, and then the main one that I liked I had on the screen. I took a photo from Tumblr that I liked of the sunset or something and clouds, enlarged it so that it covered the whole desktop, put the photo booth in front of it. I took a picture of that with my phone, and then I took that picture into Facetune and just like cleaned it up a little bit and used the detailer so that it looked a little bit more sharp. I don't think I would ever just directly upload a photo from photo booth, and it sounds like a lot of steps, but it really wasn't. It didn't take that long. I think that taking a photo that's traditionally a mirror selfie style, but using other screens to do that, I just find those photos come out more interesting, and again, just look way more creative on the feed than they actually are. They're really not difficult to take at all, but they end up looking super cool. So I wanted to mention really quickly something about props. Obviously, we talked about mirrors. Those can be a prop. You can kind of have part of the mirror in the photo, and that can help to kind of make it a little bit more interesting. But also, I really recommend pulling out items that may seem a little bit more costumey. If you have either a backdrop or you're in front of a plain wall, but you're pulling out these like more exciting outfit pieces, it adds more interest to the photo, and like when else would you wear some of this stuff? So what I mean by that is I actually have like a costume bin that has costumey items. I also have these latex gloves, which I used when I was Darth Vader for Halloween last year. I also took this photo with this hat and these lace gloves. I don't know why, I just did. I was completely naked otherwise in the photo, so I don't know. I also think I challenged myself to do more interesting makeup looks. I'm not good at makeup by any means. I don't pretend to be, but either doing a heavier eye look or focusing on a certain color, doing something fun with your hair, I suggest you give it a try. It doesn't hurt to try, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna wrap this video up just by telling you guys some of my editing tricks, because a lot of times the edit is what takes the photo to a new level. I don't do a lot to edit, but I have a few things that I swear by and I do to every single photo. So the first thing is a stylus. This is key for me. Obviously, look at my nails. There's really not a lot of precision that I can get in editing with nails like these. I've talked about this before. I've literally had a stylus for like 6 years and I bring it with me everywhere. They come in a 2-pack. I will leave them linked down below, obviously Amazon. It has this little tip at the end, which is so good to be precise with because it's clear around the edge. So you can see exactly what you're doing on your phone, but you can also unscrew this and flip it over to the other side and it's a more traditional rounded tip. I bring it out with me everywhere I go. I always have it. This is key for all of these next editing steps that we are going to do. I'm gonna try and screen record this so I can show you guys the steps that I would take to edit a normal photo. First thing that we do is we go into Facetune. I still use the old Facetune. The only things that I really ever do on Facetune is I use the smooth tool for my skin because I really am insecure about my skin texture, and I just use it basically over any little blemish that I have, and also also a little bit on my under eyes, and that is it. Then I use the detailing tool on my jewelry, my eyes, probably my nails, any details on my outfit that I really want to show. Sometimes I will use the whiten tool either on the whites of my eyes or my teeth if they're showing, or anything in the background that's white just to make it really pop. That is it for this photo. That's all that we need to do. Now we're gonna save it. I put it into this amazing app called Retouch. This app is just great. Sometimes I can get kind of anal with this, but I'll use it to get rid of, like, if you have a smudge on your clothes that's noticeable, even a speck of dust on your mirror that is noticeable, I'll use Retouch for that. All you do is use either object removal or quick repair, and you zoom into the item and you just tap it or circle it and it completely disappears. And I think it just helps to clean up the photo and make it look better when you put it through the final edit. The thing I use it for a lot when I'm posting to stories is to remove the overhead light in my apartment, because I think it's really ugly and it's on the ceiling and it's just sticking there and it looks stupid. So I'll always like just circle it and delete it because I don't want it there. And a lot of times I'd rather put text over that space anyway. I use the Retouch app a lot to basically just get rid of things in the photo that I don't think are necessary. Then I put the photo into VSCO, VSCO. I really don't mess around in VSCO at all. I basically just copy edits from a previous photo and stick it onto the new photo. I really only rotate between using AL1, AG2, and AV8. Those are really the only filters I use anymore, and I use them all at like only 2 or 3. I don't use them to their full capacity. I up the contrast a little bit. I bump the temperature so that it's a little bit more cool toned, and I usually add a grain of 2 or 2.3. Again, a very small amount. That's pretty much it. That's just what I like to do. And then I will put it in the layout app to see how I like the feed and how everything is going. And then I will throw it up onto Instagram. The only other thing that I wanted to mention, which I haven't successfully used yet, but I think is such a cool app, is Juxtaposer. I found out about this app from Kennedy Walsh. You can choose a photo of yourself and you can also choose a background. Like I'll pick this random photo that I have using your stylus tool. See, that's why I think having the stylus comes in super handy. Move the photo where you want, erase parts of the background, and I'm doing it kind of sloppy right now, but obviously you would be really precise with it and you would end up having a really cool photo like this, where the background while you're taking the photo doesn't even really matter if you know that you can do something cool with it in Juxtaposer later. I've tried it a couple times, but in those instances I always ended up just liking the original photo by itself anyway. However, I am really excited to post a photo like this because I just think it looks so cool and it looks just really creative in feed. And you could obviously do something like this using Photoshop or some other photo editing tool that you have, but I find that using it on your phone with the stylus just gives you so much control. You can really get into every little area of the photo and make sure that it looks perfect. No one even needs to know where you are. And it just gives such a cool, like 90s inspired collage kind of element, and that's definitely trending right now. So I do recommend that as well. The last thing that I wanted to mention, which is just my personal tip and has really helped me a lot this year, because like I said, taking photos for my Instagram used to be such a social activity for me. I always found that the whole atmosphere of being with my friends and drinking and listening to music and whatever I was wearing just all kind of came together to create these photos that really showed off my personality, and I think just really conveyed who I was and what I'm about. And I had kind of a hard time figuring out how to replicate that during quarantine. Obviously, I am alone, getting dressed up and putting makeup on for no one. I found that like making a night of it was actually a lot of fun. It took up a lot of my time, and I have more time than I know what to do with. I recommend putting on either a playlist that you really like so that you're listening to some music and kind of getting into the right mindset, putting on a movie or a TV show. Sometimes I'll have Gossip Girl on in the background just because I get a lot of style inspiration from Gossip Girl. I'll usually like start to make dinner as I'm getting ready, then I'll do my makeup, then I'll have a glass of wine, I'll put the music on, I'll take the photos, and then having dinner as kind of my reward at the end. Then I'll take a shower and wash off all the makeup, put cozy clothes on, get under a blanket, and like edit the photos for the end of the night. It may seem kind of silly. It definitely takes up like a couple hours when you set up all the equipment and you have your different photo sessions and you try this and maybe it doesn't work and then you try that. But at the end of the day, I'm just really happy that I'm still able to somehow find little things every day to get excited about. I don't know about you, but being in quarantine for basically a year of my life hasn't really been that fun. Every day may not be good, but there is something good in every day. Just having a sense of purpose sometimes is really all you need. That's pretty much it, you guys. That is my list of tips, my tricks. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I will link every single thing that I mentioned down below. Obviously, you can find all of my links in the description, but especially, very importantly, please follow me on Instagram. If you try any of my tips, if you replicate any of my photos, by all means, please do. I would love to see that. Then please tag me. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you are not already. 75% of my viewers, guys, are not subscribed. Why are you not subscribed? Just click the button. It's free. You're already here. What are you doing? I will see you next week. Bye, kisses.